specific to the Silat that I learned is, and also the Kuntao to a certain degree. So that from here you sweep, and notice how again my arm is coming inward. So I am trying to keep him close to me. I don't want him to fall away from me. I want him to stick to me. And at the same time, I will lower my center of gravity and stick to him with my upper chest and stomach a little bit. So notice how I'm curling in a little bit with my spine as I'm squatting down, because I want to maintain control. I want there to be zero space between his body and my body. I'm not pulling him straight into my body. I'm just making sure that as he falls to the floor, I am following him, and there is only there's contact between both of our bodies as we do that. That means that I control where he falls. So what that means is that the guys coming in have to come really close to him behind his back. So he is giving up his back. It's one thing, by not looking at those guys. And second, the way he positions himself makes sure that those guys have no other option but to go behind him. That is, in my opinion, a big tactical mistake. So we'll see here as they step through. And you can see here, notice how he has to turn his shoulder forward to squeeze by, right? So notice how he rotates his shoulder forward and squeezes by before he does that. This is the point, is that it's hard to explain to people, but I've seen so many incidents where because of this, I mean, just because of this, instead of going for the weapon, the guy who... There are no easy answers to this one. It's just very difficult to manage such a situation, because language is obviously what you need to be able to use in a really effective manner if you're managing a potentially violent situation. But if you cannot communicate with the other person, then that's just all gone. So that's the first thing. The second thing that I would say is that be prepared for failure, meaning that whatever you come up with, be ready for the fact that it won't work, because you know it's already difficult to manage violence or potential violence, manage a situation and de-escalate it if you do speak the same language, if you're from the same culture and so on. In a different culture, this is a lot worse. It's a lot more difficult to manage that correctly, simply because you don't have the necessary tools to do it. And if the that's a great question. I made a list and I'll see if I can stick to it and just, don't go over the top. But it's a great question, because it's true. In my opinion, there's a lot of stuff wrong with Chinese martial arts. And again, this is coming from somebody who's been training in Chinese martial arts for well over 30 years now. So I have to address several points. There's a bunch of things that I think are a part of this, of the answer. Well, if I want to give a good answer, I think I have to address those. And the first one is distinguishing between modern and traditional Chinese martial arts. So what we call it wushu versus kung fu. So kung fu is just the name that stuck when it comes to Chinese traditional martial arts. And with that, we mean old style Chinese martial arts. So how it used to be, for instance, 100 years ago or earlier than that even. Wushu is a modern version of that. Long story short, the China became a communist country. Mao Zedong basically took over and changed a lot of things. That's one aspect. Then we had a cultural revolution, in which out with the old, in with the new. So traditional martial arts and a bunch of other stuff was like, need to get rid of that. It needs to be something else. So they got rid of a lot of the traditional Chinese martial arts, and they were still practiced, but a lot of it was covert. So it was not practiced in public, because you would be punished if you did that in public. That's one aspect of it. And another aspect is that many teachers